Hello and welcome to this episode of Neighbors Cooking. I am Mitch, your chef for the night, and welcome back to my kitchens. Tonight, we're going to be doing a healthy recipe of chicken stroganoff. Now, you all know that I went to the Cordon Bleu and I was trained in Paris, and so I love butter, I love cream, I love all the things that are not good for you. And we're going to take all of those things out of this recipe tonight, and we're going to make something super healthy, and I'm going to teach you how to add flavor back in that we're removing. So a typical stroganoff recipe, if you go to France or anywhere in Europe, is filled with cream and butter and sour cream and everything that you're not supposed to eat. But today we're going to do something a little bit different. So I'm going to give you some of the ingredients here in just a minute, but before I do that, I just want to take a step back and I want to send out all of my thoughts and prayers for everybody in Hawaii, for Maui and the Big Island. I used to have a business on all 5 islands, and I have many friends that are out there that I have not been able to reach. So my heart goes out to all of you. Please reach out as soon as you're able to reach out to any of your family members. We're all anxious to know that you're all okay. But our hearts and our prayers go out to all of you in Maui. And I know that the American Red Cross has set up a fund for helping with people in Hawaii. And I'm sure there's lots of other GoFundMe accounts. If you can find a way to help and support those people, everyone, literally everyone in the city of Lahaina is homeless now. So we need to give our support and help those people that are most in need. So that being said, we're going to get into the show. Today we have Joe again filming all of our shows. Hello, Joe.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Thank you for doing. And we have some special guests today. So every week, you know, as I stumble here, I just had some wine, excuse me, I'm just kidding. Each week we have different neighbors and different community partners that come on the show. And one of our great community partners here in Palm Springs is an organization or a business called Roadrunner PRINT. Yes, whole name, Roadrunner PRINT?
Print and ship.
Roadrunner Print and Ship. And the two gentlemen, Ben and Bob, that run it and own it are such great people and support our community, support Palm Springs, support all of the nonprofits that are in the area. And they're always at everything that's going on. So one of them is coming on the show tonight, and we have a special little guest star that I normally don't have. Well, you all remember my little partner during the COVID crisis, but we have Isaac that's going to come on with his dad, Bob. They've just adopted him, and we're going to talk a little bit about how they got into that process of adoption and how fulfilling it is for them. So I'd like to bring on the show right now Bob Kinkaid and Isaac.
Yay.
Come on, come on. Hello, hello.
Hello, thank you for having us.
Oh, thank you. And this is Isaac. Come on, Isaac. How are you? Oh, so Isaac, you got new dads. Yeah? How exciting is that?
Exciting.
Exciting? He's like, it's okay.
It depends on the day, I guess.
All right. So tell us how you guys came together and how you came to adopt the process a little bit.
Yeah, so we were lucky to find Isaac on one of the kids' websites where you can match in California for the foster program. And he was taken at that time, and so we were a little sad. But then they called us and said, hey, are you still interested? And we said, yeah. So that was 3 years ago. We've had lots of great opportunities in growing as a family, right? We're doing lots of fun things, and now March was our official adoption day.
Yay! Well, congratulations. You're in 7th grade now, right?
Yeah.
Junior high school.
And he turned 12 last week.
And 12, well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
I saw you had a drag queen come and sing at your birthday.
Who's your favorite drag queen?
Danny Blue.
Who?
Danny Blue.
Danny Bloom. All right. Danny, here's one of your biggest fans standing right here in the kitchen. Wave. Hello. Yay. So I've always shared with you all that it's important to bring kids into the kitchen. And the reason that is you can't hope that you're going to meet somebody who's going to cook for you when you get older. So when you're out on your own and you have your own apartment or your own home, you're going to need to know how to at least boil some water, okay? So it's important to get your kids in the kitchen. It's a great lifestyle, and you're going to help us with you haven't really been in the kitchen a lot cooking, right?
Nobody's one great cleanup person.
Are you? Then we got a job for you, and we're done today. So but when you have your children in the kitchen, you want to find chores and tasks that they can do safely. So I have up on our Facebook page a list by age different tasks kids are safe doing in the kitchen. So as they get older, you can have them do more. You can have them wash vegetables. You can teach them how to use knives safely. You can teach them how to cook on the stove safely. So today we're going to have you wash some vegetables. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to have you come right over here. And you're going to be in charge of these mushrooms. So in today's recipe, well, let's talk about what's typically in a stroganoff recipe. I already told you there's butter and there's cream and there's sour cream. All of that is out today. So today's recipe, we're doing 4 boneless chicken cutlets, if you will, and I've grilled them on the grill today, so they're already done, so we don't have to do a whole lot tonight to cook them in the kitchen.
Awesome.
So it's summer and it's too hot to really grill in your kitchen, so you can also put these in an air fryer. The other thing is we have an onion. You can either slice or dice that onion, 2 cloves of minced garlic. We're going to use about 1/2 pound of mushrooms. Now, what type of mushrooms? I like baby bellas. I like almost porcini mushrooms. So whatever mushroom you like, you can use. We're using these little button mushrooms today. And what I like is we don't have to cut them, we just have to clean them up. And we're going to put them in a pan shortly. So you go ahead and start washing those. We're also going to use a tablespoon of mustard. Now, what kind of mustard? Remember, a typical stroganoff is heavy in fats, it's heavy in butters, it's heavy in cream. So we need to find things that are going to replace those flavors and still give us the taste that we want. So we're going to use I'm using an onion Dijon mustard today. You could use a whole grain mustard, but you want to use a brown mustard or something that has a little bit of depth to it. We're also going to use 1.5 cups of low sodium chicken broth. We're going to use a teaspoon of dried thyme, a teaspoon of dried parsley. We're also going to use Greek yogurt instead of cream or milk. And we're going to serve that on top of a pile of great mashed potatoes. Or we're going to also use, let's turn this down just a little bit. There we go. All right, and we're also going to use some pasta. So we're going to have 2 choices. Bob, can you do me a favor? Is this water boiling yet?
Nope. You want to turn it up?
Yeah, let's turn it all the way up. So we're going to get that to boiling. We're going to put some salt in that water. Now, when you're making your pasta, whatever type of noodle you use, if you're using something that is heavy like the stroganoff, you want a heavy pasta. You don't want a linguine that's going to be too soft on the fork. You want something that's going to give you something that's going to fill you up. So we're using this really large spiral pasta today.
So I have a question, Mitch.
Yes.
So I read on one of your posts that you talked about using the starch from pasta and a lot of pasta sauces.
Yes.
Does that also work for stroganoff?
Well, it could, yes. It's a great question. So the question was, I say pasta water, a little bit of pasta water when I'm making pastas because it does thicken up the sauce. So what you want is when you make a pasta, you want that sauce to stick to the noodle. So sometimes you have to add that starch back in and that binds your sauce to the noodle, so it gives it a better depth. So that's a great question. We shouldn't need it in this stroganoff because we're using some Greek yogurt, and I think it should be pretty thick, but we can always add some cornstarch, would be something we could add, or a little bit of the pasta water. Okay. So we're going to put some salt in here, and the reason we salt the water is because we want it to add some flavor to that pasta. It also helps the water from boiling over. So go ahead and throw that salt in, and we may bring this up to the front burner because it's a hotter burner. There we go. So you can throw that in, that's fine.
Perfect.
Yep. So we're going to bring that water to a boil, and that water is going to take probably about, that pasta is going to take 15 to 20 minutes. You can buy fresh pasta. You can buy dried pasta like we have today. And this is actually semolina pasta, so it's going to take a little bit longer to cook, but we'll be good. We also have some mashed potatoes that I've mixed with some parsley that can be the other choice. The nice thing with the stroganoff is you can, moms are always saying, I remember when I grew up, my mom always said, I'm not a chef, I just make one thing and you eat what I put on the table. And that's not always the best way to cook for your family. So sometimes it's nice to have some options that you can add in after the fact. So our base sauce on this is just going to be the mushrooms with some olive oil and some onions. And then we're going to add into this recipe, which is unusual, some red pepper and a pasilla pepper. Do you know what a pasilla pepper is?
Type of pepper.
It's a type of pepper. There you go. There's lots of peppers. So this is kind of a sweet pepper. So I get my peppers and I put them, if I want to roast them, so instead of buying them roasted in a jar, I take them and I put them in my air fryer. So once you put it in the air fryer, you're going to peel all of this skin off. All right. Just like that.
And you need pepper. How long does it go in the air fryer for?
About 20 minutes.
Okay.
At 350 degrees. Same thing with the red pepper. You can see it. Whoops.
Ooh, good catch.
You can see how beautiful it got.
Same amount of time?
Same amount of time. And all this juice that's in there. So it's just beautiful on the inside. See that? These come right out. And then you have roasted peppers.
Nice.
So, you know, when you buy roasted peppers in the jar and you put them back in the fridge, they don't last very long. And so I don't recommend storing peppers. If you're going to do roasted peppers, do them yourselves. It only takes a couple minutes. And then you can use them in any recipe. You always want to make sure you get the seeds out. And right now it's hatch chili season. I don't know if you guys like hatch chilies.
We don't know what those are.
So hatch chilies only come out once a year in this region.
Okay.
You'll see them in every store. There's a hot version and there's a mild version. The hot version is really hot.
Okay, now when we say really hot, we did the one chip challenge. Is it really, really hot?
It's really, really hot.
Okay.
Like made me sweat, almost cry hot, okay? And I've got a pretty strong palate. I can usually get away with a lot. So we're going to start this pan, Bob. If you can turn that on, and there's some olive oil right there. We're going to heat that
I
pan
got
up.
the mushrooms right here, all washed and ready.
He's a little TV star. All right. So we're going to dry those off. So the reason we dry them off is because when your dad puts them into the oil, the hot oil, we don't want all the water that's on them to sputter up and everything. All right. So your dad's going to start off with those mushrooms, and he's going to get them a little bit soft once that pan gets a little bit glistening and warm.
A little bit longer.
A little bit longer. Okay. We're also going to add into that, and I'll give them already diced. I've already cut these up. We have some diced carrot, just as one onion cut up. You can slice it, or you can dice it. So
is it a yellow onion?
it's a yellow onion.
Okay.
Well, this is a white onion.
Okay.
All right.
You want this
That's going to
before the
go in
mushrooms
before
or
the
after?
mushrooms.
Okay.
Yep. Once that's going, and you're going to let it go a little bit brown. With the peppers, we're just going to slice them up. When you get the skin that falls off, you can just throw it away. And then we're going to cut them up into little bite-sized chunks. There we go. So whenever you're cutting with a knife, Isaac, you always want to make sure that you always keep your fingers away from the blade. So when you see chefs cutting with their knuckles like this, it's because they're using it as a guide. So when you see a chef on TV go really, really fast, that's how they're doing it, because their knuckles are behind them. So that's your guide whenever you're cutting, and you want to cut away from yourself, so never, ever cut this way, okay? Because you'll end up losing a finger.
No loss of fingers.
No loss of fingers. It's not fun. Been there, done that.
Almost.
So you're back here.
You want them a little brown.
We're going to brown the onions up a little bit, and we're also going to add in our garlic once those are brown.
Okay.
All right? We don't want to cook the garlic too long because it will burn. So, good job with those. I'm going to put these peppers right on top because he can put all of that in all together. All right? There we go. And let's get this pasta in.
Really big and flaky. Don't mess with that at home.
What is?
Don't try this at home.
Don't try it. No, do try it at home.
Do try
Yeah, do try it at home.
Yeah, we want you to cook at home. All right.
Unless you're 12-year-old.
Well, if you're your age, definitely with an adult. But, you know, I was Isaac's age when I started cooking. I started learning from the Galloping Gourmet. And I would go and I would watch the show. And then I would write all the ingredients down. And then I would get my mom, and you can have your dad's, take you to the grocery store and buy the ingredients. And then you can try small, simple things.
Who's the better cook in the family?
So I asked earlier when I invited them over who was a cook, and Ben told me it was the husband. And now you have Isaac agreeing with that. So what's your favorite thing that your dad cooks?
Hawaiian smashed burgers.
Hawaiian smashed burgers. What's in a Hawaiian smashed burger?
You know?
Turkey meat.
Yep.
Like, first you put them in a ball, and you fry them?
Smash them.
So it's ground turkey
Yeah.
with some Ritz crackers because you gotta have a little bit of texture in it.
Okay.
Yoshida sauce.
Okay.
Then a little bit of salt and pepper. Smash them on the grill, and then you put some grilled pineapple on top.
Oh, nice. If you don't want to know what Yoshida sauce is, you'll find it in every grocery store. It's a
teriyaki
It's a
sauce.
teriyaki sauce, but it's really popular in Hawaii. And you can make ribs with it and some amazing, amazing flavors, but there's a lot of salt in it. So think about that when you're doing your salt intake. One of the things we're not cooking with stroganoff today is butter. And so we've removed all of those butter fats, but we have to add flavor back in. So that's why we're adding the onions.
Julia Childs would not approve.
She would not approve. I went on a cruise one year with Julia Child on a cooking cruise. And it was so funny to see this old alcoholic. She was. Everyone's like, oh my God, you just said that. Yes, everyone knew. If you watched any of the Julia Child specials, you knew that with every recipe, she would have a glass of wine and, a little bit of there and a little bit there, and she was good to go. It was usually brandy, I think. But, she was a great chef. She was she was the first female famous chef. And there's been plenty of stories done about her, but she was an amazing, amazing chef. I wouldn't claim to be anywhere near as good as Julia Child or as talented as Julia Child. She went to the same school I went to. She was trained the same way I was trained, but she took it to a level back then in the 60s that was just unheard of. And she turned housewives into these amazing chefs. And it was a great experience to be able to go on that cruise with her. How are we doing on the onions?
We're getting there.
Let's stir this into the water. You can use the same thing.
Okay, you got it.
Yep.
Give extra flavor.
Extra flavor.
Extra flavor.
So we've got the onions going. We're going to put the garlic in next. You want to do that, Isaac?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, here, I'll give you a little spoon to... There you go. Remember, when you put anything in a pan that has hot oil in it, you put it away from you when you're putting it in the stove, in the pan, okay? So use that and scrape it in.
Yep.
That's right.
There you go.
Away from you. Yep. Don't splatter, just,
There you go.
There you go.
Get it all.
Perfect.
A little bit right there.
There you go.
There you go. Good job.
So you want to make sure that you're teaching your kids when they're at the stove to put things into a pan away from them, especially if there's oil involved, and for yourselves. Otherwise, you're going to burn yourselves every single time, and every time you're going to go, God, I always burn myself. Just place things into pans away from you, and you will not get burned. Look how nice that looks. So now we're going to put in all of that. So now you can pick the whole thing up.
Yep. And you can
There you go.
lightly drop it in.
And then you're going to lightly drop it into there. There you go.
Get it all.
So we just added all of the peppers and the mushrooms, and it's going to blend with that onion and that garlic. And then we're going to add a few more little pieces. So like I said earlier, I grilled some chicken. This is just cold chicken at this point. And where is my knife? There we go. And we're going to cut this into slices. When you're serving stroganoff, typically beef stroganoff, you'll find it done in slices, or you can do it in cubes, whatever floats your boat. If you're trying to feed, a lot in your family with a lot of kids, you can certainly spread it out by cutting it up into cubes. But each week, I think I shared on a show a few weeks ago, each week I grill a bunch of chicken, I put it in my fridge, and then I can plan all of my recipes around it. So there we go. How is that coming?
I think it's coming along pretty good.
Look how beautiful that looks.
Browning right there.
So the next thing we're going to put into that is some chicken broth.
Which is another chicken broth.
So we have 1.5 cups of chicken broth.
Okay.
We're going to pour that right in. There we go.
Perfect.
And we're going to bring that to a boil.
That's it for a second.
And let that cook.
Yep, because that's going to boil just like this.
So what's your favorite class in school?
Right now it's art.
Art?
My second favorite is history.
It's history. What's your favorite thing in history?
We haven't really started yet because we're still getting to know our teachers.
Okay. Who's your favorite teacher? Go ahead, tell
This is for an A grade.
them. Who's your favorite teacher?
My favorite teacher is Mr. Gardino.
Mr.
Gardino.
Gardino. Mr. Gardino, look, you get an A+ today from this little man, Isaac, right here.
And what does he teach?
What does he teach?
He teaches ELA.
Language arts.
Language arts, yeah.
Ah, language arts. See, there's all these acronyms for everything. Language arts.
ELA.
ELA.
English Language Arts.
There you go. See, you learn something every day, and I've been out of school for at least a year. Joe, what was, but this not be as much fun without Joe. So how's that doing? Good?
I'll turn it up a little bit for you.
Yeah, bring it to boil, keep that stirring. Aren't those cool?
Yeah.
They're magnets. You know, you get those little measuring things and you have them all over your drawer or on that big ring that you can't fit into your drawer because it doesn't let them all lay. So these are all magnets. And they just stick together and they're easy to use. I also use these cool spice racks. I don't know, Joe, does this cabinet get on any of the cameras? No?
Oh,
All right, I'll take a picture, but I've got these really cool spice magnets. Can you see it, Joe?
oh, that's cool.
There you go. And so all my spices on my cabinet are in these little spice containers and labeled, and so I can go right to them. So these are all my dry spices. It frees up all the cabinet space you have in your cabinets and in your kitchen. The other thing I use a lot, if you can't see through your cabinet, you have too much stuff in your cabinet. So I put everything in plastic bins so I can see what I have. And then if I need to take something out, I can just get to it this way.
That's very, very, very fancy.
Very, very, very nice.
How long do you keep your spices?
Okay, so there's a good question. He's really good questions. You don't want to keep spices longer than 3 or 4 months.
Oh.
Most-
We need to replace all of our spices in our kitchen.
So what I do with my spices, like if I'm cooking with fresh basil or fresh thyme, I'll also put that extra spice in my air fryer and dehydrate it.
Okay.
And then I crumble it up. I have a spice crusher. I crumble it up into the containers. And then I'm not buying a bunch of dried spice all the time. You don't need all the spices that you have in your cabinet, I promise you.
Okay, so then what would be the 2 spices that we should always have besides salt and pepper?
Garlic.
Okay.
And
Now, when we say garlic, are we talking garlic salt, garlic powder?
garlic powder.
Okay.
Okay. And I would say basil or tarragon or one of the richer spices.
My husband would say rosemary.
Rosemary, that's another great spice. I mean, I said richer spices, so that would be one of the ones I consider richer spices. Rosemary, so dried spices do go bad. They lose their potency. And believe it or not, dried spices have more potency than non-dried spice. Yes. But when you're making your own spices, like in your thing, the less you touch it, the better. So when you dry your spices out and you put them in a container, don't crush them all up yet. When you crush them up, that's when all the oil breaks out of them.
Okay.
So when you break the oil up, so when you get all that stuff in the McCormick can, that's been so crushed and so manhandled that it hardly has any flavor. So just make them yourself.
Now, I know that I don't know, you used to do Pampered Chef, just like I did.
Yes.
So I have my Pampered Chef chopper.
Yes.
And so what I will do is I will pre-chop some of those spices to bring out the flavor right before. Okay, yeah, I don't have that one.
This one's amazing. This is
I
my
have the hand chopper.
This is by the chef, also Pampered Chef. And so you can put everything inside of it and put this up on top. And then this handle releases.
Oh, it's like a food processor.
It's like a food processor, but mini.
That's pretty cool.
It's very cool.
Okay, so we are boiling over here.
You're boiling over here?
Boiling
Okay.
over here. Boiling
So
over
that's
here.
boiling. And so we're going to now add a cup of yogurt.
Here, what do you insert in?
You want to do it?
Okay.
Got it?
Got it?
All right.
And this is regular?
This is non-fat Greek yogurt.
Do I put in the mushroom?
Yep, put it right in.
Go ahead. Now, Mitch, did you pull this right? Did you pull this right out of the fridge, or did you let it sit just a little bit?
I let it sit just a little bit.
Okay.
So the question was, did I pull the yogurt out before I put it in so it wasn't completely cold? And the answer is yes. So because you've done all this work to get everything hot,
yep.
And then you put in this super cold yogurt, and it just makes your process go that much longer. Also, the yogurt could curdle if you go from hot and cold immediately, so you could end up with some curdling.
And we're going to bring this back to a boil?
Bring it down and stir it more because it's starting to curdle just a little bit. There you go. There you go. So you got to be careful when you're using yogurt in anything hot because you could get some curdling in it. It's not making it bad. It's not going to make you sick or anything else. It just has a...
It gives you texture. Come on. Come on, texture.
He loves texture. Fritos and curdled milk. I don't know. But neither do you want in this recipe. And then the last thing we're going to add in is some mustard. All right? So you're going to add that in. You can use the little thing your dad has.
You can use that. Just be careful that burner's still on.
There you go. So I'm using I got this at Jensen's Market. I'm using a caramelized onion mustard from Stonewall Kitchens, and it is so good. So remember, we took out all of the butter. We took out all of the cream. We took out all of the fat. We took out the sour cream. We've taken almost all the calories out. So the only way you can cook healthy if you pull all that out is to put some good stuff in. So this was a caramelized onion mustard. All right? Really, really tasty. So let's get a little taste on that and see how it's doing. So good.
I'm like, is that a good sound, or is that like I need a little something extra?
All right, so I'm going to let you decide. Do we put this in strips, or do we want to cut it into smaller pieces?
Well, I mean, if I were to make it more fancier, I would have done it
With
in
strips?
small pieces.
Oh, you want? Okay, then we'll do smaller pieces.
Because
All
then
right.
you can put like that on top, sprinkle on top.
There you go. All right. So we're going to make some, we're going to do your version of the recipe. And we're going to cut into little slices. And we can eat more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, you know, Joe's boyfriend's at home going, what's Mitch cooking tonight? Nothing for you. You have to come back to my house if you want some food, okay? Every week Joe goes home with a bag or a box of food. So we're going to put the chicken in so it can warm back up.
Okay. And then what do we keep the heat on for this now?
Just medium.
Medium?
Yep. Now, this recipe is never going to be as thick as the recipe with the heavy cream and the sour cream and all the butters. It's just not going to be. You could thicken it up with some cornstarch if it's too, or some of the starch water out of our pan here. And how are these noodles doing?
Do you want to taste one?
No, I want you to decide how they're doing.
They look pretty done to me.
Let's look. He's trying to get it up with a
With a
spatula.
This is what happens when you're not familiar with someone's kitchen.
Do you have a pretty good equipped kitchen?
I have certain tools I like.
Yep.
I mean, I'd throw that on the ceiling to see if it's stuck first.
So tell me if that's done. It's warm.
Eat it?
Eat it.
Eat it.
Oh my god, that's hot.
I told you it's warm.
Okay.
Is it done?
Is it crunchy? Is it soft? Is it too soft?
Perfect?
Oh, you're going to get an educated answer right now. Mitch is like, it's taking too long.
It's good.
Good?
That's good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to drain that pasta. There's a colander right there. All right.
Are these?
And before you drain that pasta, what are we going to do? We're going to save some of that pasta water.
Okay.
So we'll just take some of the pasta water right out. We'll put it right there.
Do you have pot holders?
I don't, but I use...
Now, why is that?
I don't know. I use towels. I just have never used pot holders.
Oh no, your pasta water.
Oh, pasta water. Yes.
There we go.
So the pasta water is in case we want to thicken the sauce up because it's starch. So without adding anything else into it, we can add a little bit of starch water and it thickens up. So, but I think we're going to be okay. That's really good.
You missed one.
I know that, but it'll go back in the pan perhaps.
Okay, so we're going to pour this into this big pot. Let's get a little bit of that starch water, and we're going to add a little bit more of the yogurt.
You want to add all the starch water?
Nope. Well, you can add it all, yeah.
Oh, we can do it. Good.
All right. There we go. In this bottom oven, if you use that thing, you can get the mashed potatoes out for me.
Okay.
Be careful.
Yep. There we go. Throw them up.
Very good job.
There we go.
No burns.
No burns.
The
All
chief
right.
of police and the chief of the fire department would be very happy.
They were just here last week.
No medical emergencies tonight.
Hot.
Hot, yep, hot.
All right.
Don't touch metal.
So,
Wasn't that hard?
so what we've done is we've taken a stroganoff that would typically be about 1,300 calories, and we've reduced it down to about 600 calories. So we've taken about half of the calories off. It's all healthy. And you get to decide if you want to put it on top of mashed potatoes or on top of pasta. What do you want?
What?
You want mashed potatoes
Pasta.
or pasta?
I want pasta.
You
but
want
I'll
pasta.
have mashed potatoes on the side.
Oh, see,
All right.
we are a starch family.
So we'll give you a little bit of mashed potato. And we'll give you a little bit of pasta.
That is very fancy. I don't think I've ever seen noodles that large as far as
Yeah, I go to an Italian shop and pick them up.
and do you have a recommendation here? Can you do a recommendation here?
Yeah, there's one down in Palm Desert, right? El Paseo.
Okay.
All right, and then we're going to take a little bit of parsley, because green always helps. All right, a little bit of parsley on the top, and voila!
I'm like, bam!
Bam! Except that's a copywritten term.
I don't know about that.
All right, Isaac, you get to take the first bite.
Okay.
Okay, it's hot.
And if you don't like it, you still say you like it.
You say, "Oh my God, it's the best thing I've ever tasted," and make a funny face.
I make a funny face.
Mom, I can't get it.
You got it.
You got it.
Just take a little bite of the chicken.
Blow
There
it
you
because
go.
it's
Blow it.
hot.
Go hot.
Now you know it's hard to get an 11 or 12-year-old to even like anything.
What do you think?
Good.
Good?
Real good.
All right. You want to let your dad have a little taste?
Oh, I get to taste. Okay. I go with the potato. Mmm. Oh, really good.
There we go. And Joe, you're going to get your taste in a minute.
Very good.
So there we have it. A simple, healthy beef or chicken stroganoff. You can add beef. You can add tofu. You could add tempeh. You could add shrimp, your favorite thing. You know, just about any protein that you want. But this is a great dish. You'll love it, and your family's bound to love it. Again, I want to thank all of you for coming and visiting us here in our kitchens today. We'll be back next week with another great recipe and another great community partner. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week in the kitchen. Bye.